How to quit your job in 21 days. I know people have been interested in trying to figure out how they can quit their job in 21 days. And we have, highlighted this as one of the things that we can teach you guys. So what we're going to do right now is pretty much break down how to quit your job in 21 days. So the first step, or the first thing you want to do, is calculate all of your expenses. So write down how much it costs for your rent or your mortgage, write down your car payment, write down your utility bills, write down all these different things. I would throw life insurance in there. Everyone should have life insurance. That's one of the ways that the wealthy transfer wealth over to their kids, because they have a life insurance policy. So when they die, their family is taken care of. So, that should be something that you factor in, whether it be $130 a month, 200, whatever the case is. So write that in, write all those things down. So calculate all of your expenses. You should take out a pen and paper right now and write that number down, because we want to give you the roadmap and the strategy to do it, before you get done listening to this, and then you're going to repeat it. So right now, hopefully you have a calculator using your phone, whatever you have, to calculate all of your expenses. And now include an extra $1,000 for incidentals. So, stuff happens, right? And most of the time you don't have enough money in your savings to cover when those things happen. You probably even have less of that if you started a business and you hopped out there and you didn't do the strategy on how to properly quit your job before you hopped out there, which everyone's different. But we want to get you guys the tools to be able to do this the right way, so you don't have to struggle when you quit your job. You'll be set for at least 3 to 6 months. So that includes incidentals for anything, tire going out, something happening with your car that needs to be replaced, anything that comes up. So you should be writing in your expenses, and so calculate in an extra $1,000 for incidentals. So once you've done that, now find a realistic amount of money you'd like to save. I think you should save $500 a month. I think that's realistic. You should obviously save a good portion of your income, but when you're an entrepreneur, that's kind of hard to do. So instead of you trying to save 10 to 15% of your monthly income when you're starting out, that's kind of hard. So I would put $500 for this to be the amount, because hopefully you're making, at least what your expenses are. You have to be. That's part of the process. So you might not be able to save 10% of your expenses. That's just how it goes. So try to save at least $500. So write down $500. I think that's a realistic amount. If you can try to save more than that, then do that. But 500 should be the minimal amount. And so now I think you should try to factor in the amount of money it would take to go on at least one vacation per year. You really don't need a vacation. I don't think you should take a vacation when you're first starting out, but I think it's important to do. If you can factor it in right now as part of the number that you need to quit, because then you don't have to worry about it. I know when I hopped out, I didn't do this process that I'm telling you, but I learned, and that's why I think it's a great thing to do. So I think you should factor in one vacation per year, whether it be a vacation could be one of your friends getting married, and then you go into the wedding. You make that a vacation, because you don't want to factor that in. You don't want to take that trip and then factor in a vacation. So now you're spending more. A wedding should be considered a luxury at this point, especially when you're an entrepreneur. So because your budget should be tight. So just factor that in right now. Factor in a vacation, and it could be a wedding or whatever, but factor that, how much that cost is for you and your family, or just you. So now you add all of these numbers together. So whatever number you have, now multiply that number by 3 months or 6 months. Rule of thumb that everyone generally tells you guys to go by is have enough money in the bank to cover all of your expenses for 3 months should you lose your job. The same rules should apply for how you're going to quit in 21 days. So you should have at least 3 months of all of your expenses, your incidentals, the money you want to save, and your vacation for the year. you should have all of this factored for 3 months. So let's just say it's $5,000 a month. I live in California. That is a realistic number for me. So I'm going to do 3 months, because I think 3 months, and then based on how you do the rest of this, you should be fine with being able to quit with 3 months of reserves. So for instance, my case is $5,000 a month out here. Let's just say 5,000. It could be more than that, but we're just going to use 5,000 as a median number for California. So my number is 5,000. So again, now multiply this number by 3. That will be $15,000 that you would need for 3 months. The amount of money you need to make monthly is $5,000. So for this scenario, you have your own number. So now the next step is to figure out how to make this number passively. I just gave you guys the formula to be able to quit in 21 days. The formula is, what I just gave you guys, factor in all of your expenses, everything that I just gave you. So the next step is how to figure out to make this number passively. Now you have to do that through whatever product or service that you can figure out. It could be, selling Amazon. It could be whatever that product is or service that you want to offer to get to this number of 5,000. Ideally, you want to make this number with one sale or through multiple sales. Once you've made this number, whether it should be 15,000 in this case. So you want to be able to make 15,000, whether it be through one sale or through multiple sales. Now you have 15,000. You have this 15,000, you have it in the bank. Now it's yours. You will need to create a pipeline for more deals. So once you create the deal flow, you have 15,000 in the bank. So you can now quit your job because you know that all of your bills are going to be covered for the next 3 months. And that gives you enough time, because now you also have deals in your pipeline that should total this 5,000 every single month. So ideally, you don't quit your job yet, right? Until you got that 15,000 in the bank and you're set, you're covered. Now you can go in there and fire your boss and be like, hey man, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? However you want to fire your boss, do it however you see fit. You know what I mean? I don't know the relationship with your boss. So if you want to go in there and raise sand, or you want to leave pleasantly, it's up to you. And so boom, now you quit your job. You have the money in the bank to go out there and flourish. You have a pipeline of deals to keep it going, so you don't have to worry about where your next amount of money is that's going to be able to cover these expenses. So now you have that in the pipeline. Now you're good to go. So now the next thing you want to do is you want to hire at least one person as soon as you can. Well, actually, what you should do is pay off your debts first and keep your expenses low, right? For as long as you can. And then you go out there and hire at least one person. So with this, you can now duplicate yourself and you can go out there and make more money. So now the goal is to double the 5,000 to 10,000 a month. And you do that by bringing in at least one person that can do the paperwork and all the other things that take away from you doing what you're good at, and that's selling this product or service. I'm going to bring up a game called Cash Flow really quick that Robert Kiyosaki created. So if you guys have never played this game, I think you should play it. What it does is it teaches you how to get out of the rat race. The rat race is you having a 9-to-5 or living check to check. So with how the game works, you have to just pull a card and it gives you whatever career that your hand is dealt. Just like life, right? You get dealt these cards and you gotta, what if you pull whatever you pull? So you pull these cards and it gives you a particular job and it gives you the amount of money you need to make, and then you have to supplement your income. You have to supplement your expenses through passive income, whether it be through real estate or a business that you're able to buy by spending, and you surpass your paychecks. And with the money that you get from your paycheck, you are able to go out and buy particular deals, whether it be businesses, stocks, or real estate, for you to be able to surpass your expenses with those certain deal flows. And then from there, you can quit your job. And so this is kind of how it is with how to quit your job in 21 days. You need to figure out all of your expenses, vacations, and everything that I just showed you. And then you'd be able to go out there and, live the life that you deserve, live the life that you want, and be financially independent. And cash flow teaches you kind of how to do that. It shows you realistic, approaches. Like you can get a janitor, you can pull a teacher, you can pull all these different things. And when you roll the dice, you pass your paycheck, and then you can roll the dice and fall on different opportunities, big or small. You got to be strategic on how you pick either the big deal or the small deal. You also can roll the dice and fall on something called doodads. Doodads are like expenses, whether it be a baby is born or whether you have to pay taxes or you go out to dinner. You got to, once you get your paycheck and you sit it to the side, you got to take these funds and give it back to the bank, whoever that person is controlling the bank, when you fall on these different doodads. And so when you get the passive incomes from the businesses you bought, the bank has to give you money. So that's the idea with how to quit your job in 21 days. I showed you the formula. You go through the formula, you figure all that out. I'm going to use wholesaling as the way that you would quit your job in 21 days. So for instance, I gave you the number of 5,000. 5,000 was the number that I needed. I did a deal in Georgia that was $15,000. So boom, in one deal, one wholesale deal, I made $15,000. If I had a job and my expenses were that number, I would have been able to quit my job. Fortunately for me, I'm not working, and that was just $15,000 I just put in the bank. So you can do this multiple times. I could have did 3 wholesale deals for $5,000, and then I got to 15, then I quit my job. But luckily for me, in my case, I did it in one deal. So now any other deal that I had in the pipeline, which I have 3 or 4 more, is just going to be more income to just keep me from not having to find a job and go back to work. This is how you quit your job in 21 days. Whatever the product or service it is, you need to do exactly what I just said. I would focus on wholesaling because that was just one deal. I've done other deals where I've made $3,000. I've done other deals where I've made $2,000, and so on and so forth. So if you're in a state like California, you can easily do a deal that's $30,000 or $40,000. But if you don't, somebody might say, well, I don't live in California. I can't do a deal for $30,000. I just told you guys about a deal I did in a small town in Augusta, Georgia. That was $15,000. So you can do this in any town that you live in. And your expenses could be less if you live in a different state. I live in California. Rent alone is half of that. So if you live in a place like Georgia, Florida, it could be $1,000. So you may need less than that. Or you might have a lavish lifestyle and you could live in Georgia or Florida and you might need $7,000 a month based on what kind of life you want to live. I would do a minimalist lifestyle in the beginning when you're trying to quit your job and go out there and be financially independent. So I think the less you have to spend in the beginning is better for you. And then once you're able to go in and pay off all of your debts and you have that one employee that's helping you out, then you go out there and can increase your lifestyle a little bit, right? I would wait as long as I can to increase my lifestyle unless, you have kids and then it just has to happen. So the best way to do this, guys, use the formula that I just showed you and go through these steps. Again, calculate expenses, calculate savings, calculate 1 year. Well, calculate one vacation, which should be, I think your vacation should be like 3 to 5 days, 5 days preferably for 1 year. That's the first rule. And then the second rule will be multiply that 3 to 6 months, whichever you're comfortable with. Some people are more risky and they might take the 3 months so they can get out of their job and move on and make more money. Some people want the security of being able to have 6 months in the bank just in case anything's happened. 6 months obviously gives you a longer runway before you need more money. 3 months could be kind of short for someone else. But again, if you use the method that I showed you, take the money, have the pipeline, you already know that you have money coming. So don't think 3 months is not long enough. If you do the steps that I showed you, have the pipeline. So, multiply what that number is, write that total down. That's the number you need to fire your boss in 21 days. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3, find a product or service and yield that number passively. Come up with a plan, whatever product that is to sell, make that number, make sure that it's in your account, and then use that pipeline that you've also created to repeat that number every single month. That's rule number 3. Rule number 4, once you've made that money and it's in the bank, call your employer up, tell them, hey, what's good? Said, I'm gone, and I'm gone for good. And do that in whatever fashion you like. And then you repeat this over and over again. At the end of it, expand your business, pay off debts, keep your expenses low, and hire one person. Once you've done that, man, go out there, enjoy your life, enjoy financial independence, repeat this step over and over with different products. And that's how you build residual income and bring in multiple streams of income. So most millionaires have 7 income streams. Do this once with one business idea. Once that business is flowing perfectly, go out there and do it with another business. Get that business flowing perfectly. Hire one employee on. Keep going, keep going, and keep going. There's a game called Capitalism. It's an app. I think you guys should download that app. And it's another, game. It's a cool game to play too, because you go out there and it shows you how to build a business. And it's crazy because you're running this business by yourself with small income, and you're just taking the money, you're reinvesting it. And then that business speeds up and starts bringing in more money. And then that business allows you to open up another business, and then you're running that business by yourself. Now you got 3 or 4 businesses you're running by yourself that's bringing in income. And then you can go out there and hire one person for the first business that you started, and then now you got money coming in from 4 businesses. It's a pretty cool game. So just download the game. It's called Capitalism. It's a great game, and it also just gives you an idea of how to create businesses and build multiple income streams. So guys, this is how you quit your job in 21 days. Follow these steps, follow these rules. It's a formula. It's the exact formula that you need to quit your job. People are like, how do you quit your job? There's a formula to everything. And I just broke that down, how to do that. I'm telling you guys, Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki is only like $41 on Amazon. Buy it, play it with your kids, play it with your girlfriend, play it with your wife, play it with whatever you want to play it with. And it'll give you other ideas on how to be able to quit your job for the long term. But capitalism, another great game. These are all tools that get you in the mindset of how you be able to quit your job in 21 days and bring in multiple revenue streams from many different businesses. So go out there, guys, be great, become financially independent, and use how to quit your job in 21 days right now, in the next couple weeks, to go out there and fire your boss. So use it. It works. I hope it was helpful for you guys.